Welcome back to another episode of No Shame with Shane, where the takes have no lies, no bias, but most importantly, no shame. I'm your host, Shane Fordham. Now, Eagles, of course, beat the Buccaneers this past weekend, 31-25. And I can't talk about this game without diving into the defense first. First of all, Quinion Mitchell is an elite cornerback in the NFL. I don't care what anybody says. Quinion Mitchell is an elite corner in the NFL. Honestly, right now, Quinion Mitchell looks like a top 3 corner in the NFL. Top 3. I was going to say he looks like the best, but I think that would be a little far. I think he's fighting for number 1, but I definitely think it's inarguable that he is a top 3 corner right now in the NFL, the way it's shaping out. I think he's up there. I think the top 3 corners in the league right now, in no particular order, are Patrick Surtain, Isaiah Rodgers, and Quinion Mitchell. Patrick Surtain, obviously just an all-around elite corner, both in coverage, as a tackler, being physical, obviously the reigning defensive player of the year. Isaiah Rodgers, just with the past few weeks he has had, just doing crazy stuff like pick sixes, fumble recovery touchdowns. The way the dominant first half he had against the Bengals. He got a blocked field. He blocked the field goal against the Steelers this past week in just a clutch play for the Vikings. Just doing freak stuff as a corner. Of course, he's a former Eagle. Would have been great to have him and Quinion on the same team. That would have been amazing. But then, of course, you have Quinion Mitchell, who is just straight lockdown in coverage right now. Like, there isn't a cornerback, there isn't a receiver in the NFL right now that I think could really cook Quinion Mitchell just one-on-one. Like, head up. I don't think there's a receiver in the NFL right now that is cooking Quinion Mitchell in one-on-one, single coverage, man-to-man situations. I don't think there's a single receiver. And it doesn't surprise me because we're talking about a guy in Quinion Mitchell who is going up against A.J. Brown every day in practice. Quinion Mitchell is going up against the receiver who is the best receiver in the NFL in man-to-man single coverage situations. One of the best receivers at high pointing 50-50 balls. He's going up against one of, if not the best receiver in the NFL every day in practice. It doesn't surprise me that Quinion Mitchell is as standout, is as dominant in single coverage, in man-to-man, as he has shown to be these past 4 weeks of football. So I don't think there's no question Quinion Mitchell is a top 3 corner in the NFL right now. But honestly, in single coverage, in man-to-man, I don't think there is a corner that is head and shoulders above Quinion Mitchell. Like, in those situations, in man-to-man, in single coverage, there isn't a corner that clears Quinion Mitchell. And it's because, or part of the reason why it is because he is going up against guys like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith every day in practice, every week in practice. Especially A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, having to guard A.J. Brown every day has made Quinion Mitchell a better corner. You can see the development and the progress that Quinion Mitchell is making at the cornerback position. Against the Bucs, against Emeka Egbuka and Chris Godwin, Quinion Mitchell only allowed 9 targets, 2 receptions, 6 yards, 5 pass breakups, and 0 touchdowns, with a 90% coverage grade. Had Chris Godwin and Emeka Egbuka, at least one elite receiver in Chris Godwin, the guy who was shown to be the favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year in Egbuka, wasn't able to do anything against Quinion Mitchell. 2 guys who have shown to be playmakers were completely locked up in Guantanamo Bay. On Quinion Island, these guys look like totally different players. Against Devontae Adams, against the Rams in week 3, Quinion Mitchell only allowed 5 targets, 2 receptions, 12 yards, and 0 touchdowns. Now, y'all remember that huge Devontae touchdown against the Eagles in week 3? That was not against Quinion. Devontae Adams only found the end zone when Reed Blankenship motioned over to him. Devontae Adams had no success over Quinion Mitchell. Quinion Mitchell had Devontae Adams locked down. He had Emeka Egbuka locked down, and he had Chris Godwin locked down. Quinion Mitchell can guard any number one receiver in the NFL. He can guard any number one receiver. Quinion Mitchell, honestly, right now, looks like a top 3 corner overall in the NFL. But he honestly looks like the best corner in the NFL when it comes to single coverage and man-to-man. In single coverage or man-to-man situations, I don't think there's a corner that is better than Quinion Mitchell right now. I obviously think Patrick Surtain comes close. Like, I think Patrick Surtain is right there, but there isn't a corner that is better than Quinion Mitchell in those situations. You even look at another elite cornerback in Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner wasn't able to contain Emeka Egbuka the way Quinion Mitchell was able to. Egbuka had a way tougher time dealing with Quinion Mitchell than he did dealing with Sauce Gardner. Quinion Mitchell is quickly growing into an elite corner, one of the best corners in the NFL. And it's crazy. It's honestly crazy. Like, I'm honestly looking at the secondary as a whole in Philly. I honestly think the Eagles have the best DB duo in the NFL. Like, it's very possible the Eagles might have the best DB duo in the entire NFL in regards to Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. There isn't a corner that is better in single coverage, man-to-man situations than Quinion Mitchell. And I don't think there is a DB that is a better tackler than Cooper DeJean. I don't think there's a DB that hits harder necessarily and that is a better tackler than Cooper DeJean, other than maybe Spencer Derwin. Other than Spencer Derwin, there is not a DB that is a better tackler than Cooper DeJean. There's not a lot of ball carriers or skill players that are able to break a Cooper DeJean tackle. Jamar Chase hasn't been able to break a Cooper DeJean tackle. Derrick Henry hasn't been able to break a Cooper DeJean tackle. Like, if Cooper DeJean can get Jamar Chase and Derrick Henry on the ground, if he can dump those two players on their backs, two of the best ball carriers in the NFL, two guys who are dangerous wherever they are in the field as long as the ball is in their hands, there's no one that Cooper DeJean can't get on the ground. There is no one else that can just stiff arm or juke their way out of a Cooper DeJean tackle. But also, looking at that iron sharpens iron, mentality and theory, it doesn't surprise me that Cooper DeJean is arguably the best tackling DB in the NFL, because he also has to chase down Saquon Barkley every day in practice. Cooper DeJean is tracking down, breaking down, running with Saquon Barkley every week in practice. It doesn't surprise me that when he has that matchup every week in practice, it doesn't surprise me after having that matchup every week in practice that we are seeing what we are seeing from him on Sundays against guys like Derrick Henry, against guys like Jamar Chase, against guys like Bucky Irvin. There are very few guys that have shown capable of breaking free from a Cooper DeJean tackle. His footwork, his elite breakdown ability, his lateral speed, his quickness, and honestly, just his violence and his physicality. Like, Cooper DeJean might be the best tackling DB in the NFL. And I honestly think the Eagles have the best DB duo in the NFL, especially in regards to like younger guys 23 and under. And it's crazy the fact that Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell are this young and they are already playing like the best DB duo in the NFL. The Eagles defense is going to be an elite unit for a long time. When you look at the duo the Eagles already have up front in Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, the elite defensive tackle duo that they are already playing like. Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, an elite DB duo. But then you also have an elite linebacker duo in Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell. Like, this Eagles defense is going to be an issue, not just for the next 2 years, but honestly for the next 4 or 5. For the next 4 or 5 years, the Eagles will have an elite defense because of this foundation of younger guys that is being that is being developed in the system, in the culture. But getting back to that DB, that linebacker duo, just like I said before, the Eagles have the best linebacker duo in the NFL. Not only do they have the best DB duo, not only do they have one of the best D-line duos, at least in regards to potential, the Eagles, no question, have the best linebacker duo in the NFL in Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell. Just like I said they would at the beginning of the season, before the season even started, with what we saw from Jahad Campbell in preseason, with what we saw from Zach Bond last year. I said these guys would be the best LB duo. This pair would be the best LB duo in the NFL. And they're already proving me right. I honestly thought with this rotation that the Eagles have, I honestly thought whatever 2 guys they had out there, or whatever other guy they had out there with Zach Bond would make up the best LB duo in the NFL, or at least the top 3 duo in the NFL. Whether it was Jeremiah Trotter Jr. out there with Zach Bond, whether it was a healthy Nakobe Dean out there with Zach Bond, it was going to be one of the best LB duos in the NFL. But looking at Jahad Campbell and Zach Bond specifically, just like I said before, they are proving to be the best linebacker duo in the NFL. There's nothing this duo has not shown capable of doing. They're elite against the run. They're elite at rushing the passer, at blitzing a quarterback, at helping collapse that pocket. They are elite against the pass and pass coverage. Aside from that huge Bucky Irvin touchdown, that touchdown pass to Bucky Irvin, Jahad Campbell Bucky Irving losing Jahad Campbell on that wheel route. Besides that, these 2 guys as a duo have shown to be playmakers at an elite level in all 3 areas: in pass coverage, against the run, and as blitzers. These 2 guys as a duo, Jahad Campbell and Zach Bond as a duo, versus the Bucs, combined for 12 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 1 sack, and 1 TFL. These guys were everywhere against one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. One of the most explosive offenses in the conference. Against a stacked offense. These two guys were everywhere on the field, making plays at multiple different levels. Making plays at each level. There was nothing this LB duo couldn't do on Sunday against the Bucs. These 2 guys as a duo combined for the whole season so far through 4 weeks have combined for 52 total tackles, 31 solo tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 1 sack, and 5 pass breakups. This linebacker duo, this duo with Campbell and Bond, have proven to be the best linebacker duo in the NFL. There isn't a linebacker duo in the NFL right now that is coming close to this duo that we're seeing in Philly. There is not a linebacker duo that is touching Bond and Campbell together. 52 total tackles, 31 solo tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 5 pass breakups. They're stopping the run. They're making quarterbacks uncomfortable. They're forcing them to leave the pocket, collapsing the pocket. They're getting them down. They're getting home to the quarterback for sacks in the pocket. They're either causing turnovers or creating the turnovers themselves. And they're shutting down the passing game. Like, this is an elite linebacker. This is the best linebacker duo in the NFL. No question. And we're seeing a defense again that is really capable of having 2 Defensive Rookie of the Year candidates. One, of course, being Jahad Campbell. The year Jahad Campbell is having so far, there is no question Jahad Campbell should not be a favorite for Defensive Rookie of the Year. There's no question. 1 interception so far, 1 forced fumble. He's making plays at every level on the defense, at every level against an offense. He honestly looks like one of the best linebackers in the NFL right now as a whole. Not just a rookie. Not just in regards to rookie linebackers or rookie defenders. He looks like one of the best overall linebackers in the NFL total. One of the best overall linebackers in the NFL. There's no question Jahad Campbell should not be a favorite for Defensive Rookie of the Year right now. And then, of course, you have Andrew Makuba, who had a huge week last week, against the Rams. No question. But I'm looking at the team as a whole, switching over to the offense. Obviously the offense had we saw 2 different halves in this game from the offense. First half, we saw a very productive offense. We saw a very productive Jalen Hurts. Offense was moving the ball through the air to A.J. Brown, to Devontae Smith. It was opening up run lanes for Saquon Barkley. It was opening up the passing game for Saquon Barkley as well in those jet flare routes out of the backfield. It looked like a creative, deep offense, a versatile offense. An offense that was actually capable of attacking a defense in several different ways. In the second half, it was a totally different story. It's like Kevin Patullo, he came out aggressive in the first half, but in the second half, he reverted back to his shell. Like he reverted back to his limited play calling. Like honestly, like it's crazy. Like we can see that it's definitely there. Like we can see that the capability, the play calling capability of this offense, of this offensive coordinator is there. There is depth to this offensive playbook. But it's like Kevin Patullo refuses to go there. Like Kevin Patullo refuses to turn a couple more pages into the playbook and expand on what this offense is capable of doing on Sundays. Like, it's honestly like Kevin Patullo honestly calls plays as if he is scared to get the A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith hurt. It's like he's scared to utilize AJ and Devontae too much. Like it's almost like he's trying to conserve them as opposed to allowing them to get hot early in the season. Like Kevin Patullo is conserving AJ Brown and Devontae Smith more than he is Saquon Barkley. And it honestly should be the other way around. We know what Saquon Barkley is capable of doing. We know we have a MVP candidate, reigning offensive player of the year in the backfield. We know that. We need to start showing defenses what A.J. Brown is capable of with more targets. We need to start showing what Devontae Smith is capable of with more targets. We really need to show what Jahan Dotson is capable of with more targets. We're seeing what Dallas Goedert, we're seeing more of Dallas Goedert involved in this offense, which is a plus. But we're not seeing enough of these receivers, these elite receivers that we have in this passing game. Like, there's no reason why the best receiver in the NFL in A.J. Brown should be looking mediocre to average. There's no reason why in this offense, arguably the best number 2 receiver in the NFL should look mediocre to average. There's no reason why a guy who could be an elite number 3 receiver in Jahan Dotson should look mediocre to average in this offense. There's no reason why these guys should be as limited in this offense as they are right now. Like if Zach Taylor can draw up an offense where the Bengals look like they had the best receiver trio in the NFL in Jamar Chase, in T. Higgins, and in Tyler Boyd back when Boyd was still there. If Zach Taylor is capable of drawing up an explosive passing offense, there's no reason why Kevin Patullo cannot do the same thing with a better trio of receivers. Or at least a trio that is at that level. There's no reason why Kevin Patullo should not be able to do that. Zach Taylor is not that good of an OC. Like, Zach Taylor is not an offensive genius. Zach Taylor is not Matt LaFleur. He is not Sean McVay. He's not even Kyle Shanahan. He's not a retro Doug Peterson. He's not Andy Reid. He's not a retro Eric Bieniemy. Like, Zach Taylor is not a genius. If Zach Taylor can draw up plays to get Tyler Boyd the ball, to get Jamar Chase the ball, to get T. Higgins the ball, if Zach Taylor can scheme those guys open, there's no reason why Kevin Patullo should not be able to scheme open A.J. Brown, to scheme open Devontae Smith, to scheme open Jahan Dotson. There's no reason why Kevin Patullo should not be able to do those things. There's no reason. And it's something needs to give. Like, the offense is making progress. Like, it's making progress. Like, the passing offense looked better in the second half against the Rams, even though it's questionable. We can accredit that to Kevin Patullo because of the control that it seemed like Jalen Hurts took and that Nick Sirianni took in that second half over the scheme. But we're seeing the passing game is getting better from week to week. It looked more explosive in the second half of the Rams game. It looked better, at least in the first half of the Bucs game. Like, this passing game needs to continue to grow and improve with the schedule that the Eagles have coming up. And honestly, it needs to happen fast because the Eagles need to be able to move the ball through the air if we are going to beat this Broncos team next week. In order for the Eagles to beat the Broncos this week, an elite defense, the Eagles have to be able to move the ball through the air. If Kevin Patullo wants to see Saquon Barkley succeed, which clearly he does, clearly, since that's his favorite player, the passing game has to be lethal. The passing game has to be a threat. The passing game is what will open it up for Saquon Barkley to find more running lanes similar to what he had last year. The run game is one good block away from getting Saquon Barkley another home run like he did last year. It's one good block away. But in order to make those running lanes wider or to make them easier for Saquon Barkley to find, to make them easier for the offensive line to create, the passing game has to be a threat. The passing game has to be a threat. Defenses are able to stop the run easier because they feel like they don't have to worry about the pass. Defenses are able to key in on Saquon Barkley and what we are doing up front and in the backfield because defenses think that we can't move the ball through the air. Because they think we can't move the ball downfield. Defenses are able to stack the box because there hasn't been a scheme to attack the deep thirds of the field with A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith yet. We have to show defenses that we are still capable of moving the ball through the air, like the Eagles did in the playoffs in the Super Bowl, in order for the run game to succeed. The Eagles have to be able to move the ball through the air in order to beat this Broncos defense. This Broncos defense is elite at every level. It's elite against the pass. Has one of the best overall pass rushes in the NFL. Leading the league right now in pass rush win rate as a unit. They have an elite defense against the run. They have an elite secondary. They have an elite D-line. Like, they have, when healthy, an elite linebacker core. What could be an elite linebacker core? Like, this is an overall elite defense in the NFL. The way the scheme has looked through these first 4 weeks is not going to cut it against a Broncos unit. A team that has an elite defense, a capable offense, with an elite coach that they have on the sideline in Sean Payton. There's just no way. And honestly, the Eagles really need to take advantage of the matchup they have this week because I honestly feel like this is a potential Super Bowl matchup that we are seeing in October. Like, I honestly feel like Eagles and the Broncos have a good chance of being the Super Bowl matchup this year with the way these two teams look. Like, obviously, the Eagles are the favorite to get back to the Super Bowl this year. But looking at the Broncos, I think the Broncos have the best chance of getting to the Super Bowl out of any other AFC team other than the Chiefs, of course. Other than the Chiefs, of course, the Broncos have the best chance of getting to the Super Bowl this year. Like, I think the Broncos have a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl than the Ravens. I think they have a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl than the Chargers. I think they have a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl than the Bills. And I definitely think they have a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl than the Bengals. Like, other than the Chiefs, there really isn't another team that has a better chance of getting it done, of getting over that hump this year than the Broncos. I think the Broncos have, like I said, the Broncos have an elite defense. They have a capable offense. Bo Nix is getting better every week, even though he does need to do a better job of taking care of the ball. He is improving every week. He's shown capable of making explosive plays down the field. He has talented skill players around him in J.K. Dobbins in the backfield, the guy who would have been a top 10 rushing leader in the NFL last year if he didn't get hurt. And an underrated receiver, one in Cortland Sutton. Like, this is a talented Broncos team. Like, I think this Broncos team definitely has a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl this year than the Ravens. The Ravens are injury riddled on defense right now. Namzi Madubuike is out for the entire season. Kyle Van Noy is dealing with issues. Jair Alexander is dealing with issues. It seems like Kyle Hamilton is dealing with some injuries as well. This is an injury riddled defense, a defense that was supposed to be an elite defense this year. Injury riddled defense, but then they also have a quarterback in Lamar Jackson who doesn't take care of the ball in the biggest moments of the game, doesn't take care of the ball in the biggest moments of the season. A guy who has, even though he is an elite quarterback, is going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks of all time. He is not capable of winning in the deep. He is not capable of winning in the stretch in the playoffs. He's not capable of winning in the stretch in the playoffs. He has more turnovers than touchdowns in the playoffs. And he has a history of folding. He has a history of folding when it matters most. And the Ravens aren't going to win with Lamar Jackson sticking to that pattern. Like, the Ravens can't win in the playoffs with Lamar Jackson playing the way he does or has in the postseason. So the Broncos definitely have a better chance of making it to the Super Bowl this year than the Ravens because Lamar Jackson folds in big time moments and the defense is injured. And Derrick Henry can't hold on to the ball. Definitely have a better chance of getting there than the Ravens. I think the Broncos have a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl this year than the Bills. I think the Bills' defense is old. They've only played one good offense this year, and that was the Ravens. And Josh Allen and James Cook are the offense. Like this is not a super talented deep Bills team. Like, the defense is old and the defense is old and is not ready. And the offense consists of Josh Allen and James Cook. The Bills are not capable of beating the Chiefs in the playoffs. The Broncos, on the other hand, at least have an elite defense. They have a quarterback who has potential, being a young guy, being a guy who is getting better every week, who is shown capable of making those big time plays, those eye-popping plays. They've got a good O-line, and they've got the coaching in Sean Payton. The Broncos definitely have a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl this year than the Bills. I don't care how great of a player Josh Allen is. Josh Allen Josh Allen needs some more help on the offense before I can say the Bills are Super Bowl favorites in the AFC. I think the Broncos definitely have a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl this year than the Bengals. I think that's the easiest point to make. The Bengals have absolutely no defense, and Joe Burrow is hurt. Like, what else do I need to say? Joe Burrow is hurt, and the Bengals have no defense. But even with Joe Burrow healthy, I think the Broncos have a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl this year than the Bengals. Because even with Joe Burrow healthy, it's still a one-dimensional offense with no O-line. The only thing this offense can do is attack a secondary with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That's the only thing this offense can really do. They're not efficient running the ball. They have a terrible, because one of which they have a terrible O-line. Their defense can't stop a nosebleed. And it's not like they have a coach that can outcoach an opposing play caller. It's not like they have an elite play caller on their sideline. They don't have an offensive line, which is why Joe Burrow was hurt. All they can do is pass. Now, they are very good at passing the ball. With that being said, they are very good at passing the ball. But that's the only thing that they do that really scares a defense, that really scares a team in general. It's the only thing this Bengals team can do. It's a one-dimensional offense. The Broncos are a way more balanced offense. They have obviously one of the best defenses in the NFL. And there's no question Sean Payton can outcoach Zach Taylor. The Broncos definitely have a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl this year than the Bengals. No question. I honestly think Bo Nix will get to a Super Bowl before Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert. Bo Nix will get to a Super Bowl before those four guys for sure. One, because none of those four guys have shown capable of beating Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. We've seen multiple times Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen fall to Patrick Mahomes. Joe Burrow has beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, but he's not doing that this year. When Joe Burrow beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, he had one of the best defenses in the NFL. He had a balanced offense. He had a better offensive line than he does right now. Joe Burrow's circumstances were much different than what they are right now. When Joe Burrow beat Patrick Mahomes, his circumstances were much different. He's not doing that this year. There's no way Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, or Justin Herbert will be able to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs this year. We haven't seen Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs yet. Not a single time out of all their matchups against him, Patrick Mahomes is undefeated in the playoffs against Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Joe Burrow doesn't have the team to contend with Patrick Mahomes' team in the playoffs this year. And Justin Herbert can't even beat Trevor Lawrence in the playoffs. Justin Herbert can't even beat Trevor Lawrence in the playoffs. And Justin Herbert has more turnovers in the playoffs than he does touchdowns. Justin Herbert can't get a win, hasn't gotten a win yet in the playoffs. There's no way I'm just supposed to believe Justin Herbert is capable of beating Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs when he hasn't even won one playoff game yet. There's no way. Bo Nix will definitely get to a Super Bowl before those four guys do. Bo Nix will get to a Super Bowl before Josh Allen, before Lamar Jackson, before Joe Burrow, and before Justin Herbert, because those four guys either don't have the team or just haven't shown capable of beating Mahomes just by their own play. At least in Bo Nix's regard, not that Bo Nix obviously has proven that, which he hasn't. In Bo Nix's regard, he at least has an elite defense that is on the field when he is not, and has the coaching to contend with the coaching of Andy Reid. Bo Nix has a talented offense, he has an elite defense, and he has an elite coach in Sean Payton. Bo Nix has something that those other four guys don't, that are in his favor when matching up against Mahomes in the playoffs. I think Bo Nix is more likely to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs this year than Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, or Justin Herbert. And looking at the Chargers as a complete team, I think the Broncos definitely have a better shot at getting to a Super Bowl this year than the Chargers because, one, just like I said before, Justin Herbert is not like Justin Herbert. Yes, looks like an MVP candidate right now. He has had elite moments in the regular season, makes explosive plays in the regular season. He's a totally different guy in the playoffs. What do you have? 3 or 4 interceptions against the Texans last year in the wild card round? The defense, the Chargers defense does look good. You know, Khalil Mack, Spencer Derwin. But my main thing is, regardless of how good the Chargers defense looks, they're not beating a Broncos team with Justin Herbert playing the way we have seen him play in the playoffs before in a matchup this year. With what we've seen from Justin Herbert in the playoffs in the past, that level, that caliber of play is not going to help the Chargers beat the Broncos in the playoffs. The Broncos definitely have a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl than the Chargers do this year. So I honestly think, looking back at this Eagles-Broncos matchup, this could honestly be a Super Bowl matchup, a Super Bowl preview that we get in October. Because I think the Broncos are the only team in the AFC that have the best chance of getting past the Chiefs to get to a Super Bowl this year. Because of the elite defense they have, because of the coaching they have in Sean Payton, and because of the complementary offense that they have with guys like Courtland Sutton, guys like J.K. Dobbins, and a quarterback like Bo Nix who is showing improvement from week to week. A guy who actually made the playoffs as a rookie. I think this Broncos team has a lot of promise, and I definitely think they have a better shot of getting to the Super Bowl this year than the Ravens, than the Bills, than the Chargers, and definitely the Bengals. But that's all we got for today's edition of No Shame with Shane. If you haven't already, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and I'll be back later on with more shameless takes.